So right now, it might be a good idea just to get you guys benchmarked to see where you guys are at.
Yeah, I'm actually thinking it's probably worth the $60, but
I'm,
we could.
I'm not pushing you to buy it. I'm just saying I'll probably push them to like include it next
Right.
time. Next time around, because basically you can go by domain, and then as you start passing domains, then you can start adding domain and domain together. That way you're just not taking it, but for right now, I guess you can take one of the practice tests and see what you get, see what your score is overall.
All right.
That
All
way you
right,
have
will do.
a yardstick.
Oh joy. He's permanently transmitting.
He's got some kind of beep on his, or maybe a feedback loop on his microphone.
Yeah, that's what it sounds like. So the one over in the test, it gives you 10 questions, or you can pay the $60. I mean, if you want to do the demo. But if you do the one for ours, it's like, yeah.
150, yeah. 3
it's
hours.
150 questions. 3 hours of your life you're not getting back. But, I mean, outside of that, I wouldn't know where to start. So I'm going to do the little 10 question test here, and then I'm going to jump over and probably do one of the, well, I don't know if I'm going to start a 3 hour one at 4 o'clock in the afternoon Eastern time, but.
Yeah, I got a couple more hours to dedicate to this today. I can run through one of those. But I'm going to stick on the presentation for a bit. And do you want to check back in after you do the 10?
Yeah, I mean, I can. I don't see me finishing it in 150 questions in a 2 hour block. So
let's do the little demo test. See what we
the
think of.
little 10 one. Yeah, I'm completely lost. So this ought to be fun.
Okay, cool.
All right. Yeah, man. Appreciate it.
Yeah. Let's do this. Or full disclosure?
Yeah, I missed that too. I said full disclosure and it was partial.
It was partial, right? I guess it's partial because he wanted to first do the fix, please, and he discloses it to the developer, and then he says, and after that, release it publicly. I guess that's partial.
So I guess full disclosure would be if you just go public with it right off the bat, or tell them to go public with it.
Right.
The small or no logo on the building, that was just a guess.
I guess, right. I guess that too, but I guess right.
Yeah, and I was like, fax was easy. Mesh topology, just because there's 3 entrances to every router.
Yeah, exactly.
If I had to troubleshoot that cable, I'd be like, so where's the router having the problem? Because it's continuing to search the network. I'd have to walk around and look at link lights.
Or you could unplug all but one.
Yeah, there we go. And that's a global nightmare. The TCP session for the attacker.
Yeah.
Kerberos and IPsec versus SMTP.
Well, SMTP isn't going to help you because that's mail transfer protocol.
Yeah.
Right. So it's got to be
internet based.
It's got to be some kind of encryption. You need Kerberos and IPsec were both encryption. I don't know what Juggernaut is, but
I don't either. I'm assuming it's a specific type of hack or tool.
Right.
I was going to look it up, but I was like, yeah, let me take the test here. I'm assuming Juggernaut's bad, and since it's a TCP session, which is not something that I even realize we still play with, but I mean, doesn't everybody just use HTTPS for everything because you can't trust anything else?
Pretty much,
Um,
yeah.
like, hey, like you,
Well, they said, right. So they said A
yeah,
and B, which means it could be devices, right?
or two people.
It could be people, or it could be just two devices. Like
Yeah,
some programmer is communicating, and the session gets hijacked. It's like, guys, use an encrypted protocol. You know.
yeah,
If-
that makes sense. Rock on
yeah.
with that one.
So I guess that could be sort
Who
of.
gets the blame for messing up the hard drive? Robert.
Oh yeah, yeah. He took
Sorry,
the
dude. I
action.
don't even know why you asked that one. Like, is there somebody else that can be in trouble if you do something wrong? Can I
Well,
pass the buck on that?
yes. Technically, you know,
Well, if you're
in
sent to do a job and you're not certified to do it,
exactly, you weren't trained. So
then
then
that
it's
would be the exception.
yeah. But then it's
But
remember, this is evidence handling. This is, a mistake, an inadvertent mistake, and he should have been trained actually to make a clone of the drive first, not just isolate.
absolutely.
You know, first thing you
Well, we
do is
always back up the drive to a share. At least that's how we do it for the military side. Anytime
mhm.
we're about to wipe a computer and we're doing an investigation on it, we do a full backup of whatever we're working on. That way we have I guess, a living repository of, okay, before we started playing with this is what it looked like,
Yeah,
especially when you
I
start
like
looking at log files.
I like images like snapshots or full clones of the drive
Yeah,
in the cloud or the virtual environment. If you have to get to physical, then you got to do something like DPIO copy. Really get down to I'm going to plug the cable into another drive and get down to the device level and do a block level copy of it. And that's a whole lot more work.
oh yeah, it sounds like an absolute nightmare.
It absolutely is. But that's what we used to have to do that. That's when I first got my, what was it? It was a forensic certification from SANS. It was,
Man, that would be cool.
yeah, it was very
I am
difficult.
just now rediscovering the world outside of the military. Like I said,
Uh-huh.
I've been out for about 7 years and doing the military version of network infrastructure capabilities, and cybersecurity wasn't even a thing until about 2010. Um,
Right.
I remember when everybody started making jokes about it, even though, ironically, I teach a cyberspace planners course where we
Uh-huh.
show them that actually the first discovery of cybersecurity was in 1985 when Ronald Reagan watched war games and went back and asked the Joint Chiefs, "Is this a thing or not?" And they were like, "Dude, so cyber's been around since 1985." I said, "In some houses, dark worlds and dark rooms, but it didn't even become a thing for us in the military as far as people having knowledge of it. Like, oh, we need to protect against this." We were like, "What? What? I can't just have Norton or McAfee on my computer and that's enough."
Yeah. Now it's the new front, you know. That's
And that's kind of why I was like, you know what? I'm gonna circle the wagon and go try and do something new. I don't know how I'll fit in the rest of the world, but getting a little tired of just going down the same old drain after doing it for 20 years. Everything from help desk to account management and having to do everything by myself. One of those, okay, I'm going to do it from the account request all the way through building out the individual's profile, exchange, all that, and then build their machines for them and classify each network. And yeah,
well, I think a lot of small businesses really need the skills you have and the skills that you can demonstrate with this CISSP certification. I'm sure that once you have this, and if you go put your name out there saying, "Hey, I can help you do what you need to do to implement an ISO 27701 or something like that," or I'm doing the CIS version 8 for this one company now, and just to get them to the first level, the implementation group 1 of CIS is really just common sense. It's not difficult, and
yeah,
there's not a lot of like really arcane stuff that you have to do. This is CISP stuff is kind of above and beyond that. But
Well, a lot of times you can't
the
even get the
value,
jobs without the certification.
yeah, I mean the value is huge. Well, you got to have contacts, and that's the key. You got to know people. Like I know a guy who's been doing this for 20 years, and he's saying, yeah, I don't do compliance work. I just do the pen testing. So I'm teaming up with him, and he's feeding me clients, and I'm feeding him clients, and we're just both doing consulting work, and it's great. It's a good partnership to have. So that's the kind of thing you need to have to get the work. I also got a half-time job for a small company, and that works out really well for me because I do have to sometimes build machines, but much less so than ever before because we have endpoint managers. We have an endpoint management system. So building the machine for me is just saying, hey, plug your machine in and tell me when it's running. And okay, now maybe I have to go and tell them to download and install an agent. And then I've got an endpoint manager on there, and then I can do everything else from a console. So it's it's a lot easier than it used to be. So I think that kind of thing, just for small to medium sized companies, is it's really important. They need it, to keep the data safe and to keep them save them from themselves. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
I don't know. It could be interesting.
yeah. Anyway, that's what I'm planning to do with this. I guess Michael's just going to sort of walk us through the slides, and I'm going to try to read the next couple of sections, just to be ahead and ask questions of him because he's really knowledgeable. He's obviously deep into it, but I don't think he's really uh, got a program for the presentation for 4 days.
Yeah, I think when we get into the presentation, I'll start picking up more. Right now, we're just doing the overview. That's the overview slide deck that they sent us. I think that I'll start reading over the actual presentations and trying to listen to the classes on Sprintzeal was, it's an absolute nightmare. I don't do well with thick accents.
That's painful. That's just
Yeah,
painful.
and every one of the classes so far are the very thick Indian accent. So I'm having a hard time concentrating on what's being said and following along. So I'm
I
hoping that
find,
we'll go over more material in here and go over each one of the domains, maybe a little more in depth. But I got a feeling that when it's all said and done, I'm just going to have to test, and retest till I
right.
memorize the answers, kind of like I did with Sec Plus, because some of it is got to know information and others of it is just nice to know, because you'll have the reference materials open to you outside of testing.
Exactly. And we'll have the opportunity to take, like, I've actually scheduled next week to just have 4 hours a day just studying. So I'll figure I'll just use all these materials as much as I can. And this CISSP exam practice, $60. It's probably worth it. You know.
Well, yeah, I don't. So it's a double-edged sword because I could spend the $60, but we already spent the money on the Sprintzeal too.
Right. Maybe
Yeah,
if
I'm already tabbing over $1,000, and I'm like, damn, man, and I still got to pay for the test.
yeah, we still got to pay for the test. Yeah, exactly.
So it's like, because at first I thought, the way it was advertised is that the final exam was like the online proctored exam and you'd be done. But best I can tell, it's everything you need to prepare you.
Right, and they guarantee that you pass it. Right. So, but you still have to pay for it.
Absolutely. Well, what kind of guarantee is it? I mean,
Well, that's
guarantee is we'll give you everything you need to be successful. But if you get in there and the test is overwhelming, or when I retook my Security Plus because I had to go in for continuing education,
yeah.
once I made it into the senior management positions in the military, they didn't require the certification anymore. So I didn't keep up with the continuing education. When I got out of the military, they were like, hey, you need to be continuing education qualified to do these jobs. So I went back to retake it, and I got basically a test engine where I could go in and just practice the exams. When I went to take the exam, it didn't look anything like what I had been going over.
Right. Right. Yeah. Well, actually, Michael said the same thing. He said, these things don't look exactly like, what we're seeing. I did notice that
Because
Sprintzeal.
apparently they learn from the areas that you're having difficulty in, and they give you more questions in areas that you may show weakness in.
Right. It's an adaptive test. I had that actually. I had some of the first adaptive testing back when I got my CNE. That was an interesting thing. It was also a proctored exam where you went into a testing center and you sat down and you answered maybe 100 questions, but you knew if you got past 30, you were doing all right. Because if you really didn't know what you were doing, they stopped after a while, said you're not going to make it.
Yeah, I'm with you. I don't know which way to go yet. I'm gonna continue reading for the
Yeah.
rest of the afternoon, figure that out. I don't think he plans on coming back. I really don't know. But I suspect it's gonna be a test, retest until you figure it out. And it says that their questions on this website he gave us was last updated on the 2nd of June. So that's a pretty speedy update compared to what I don't know when Sprintzeal stuff is current and when it's not. So it
Hmm.
may be worth the $60 because you'll get it. From what he was saying, it sounds like it comes in smaller chunks. So you
Exactly.
can kind of so you can, instead of the 150 questions, um, which may be worth its weight in gold in my mind anyway, but it says over 1,000 professional exam questions, 19 condensed professionally compiled mock exams, and domain tests.
Yeah, so you can test your domains. You see this, oh, I've got this one down. I don't, I can move on. And, oh, this other domain I'm really weak on. I should spend some more time on.
Yeah, because when I started taking the one, just took 10 questions off of one of the Sprintzeal ones,
Uh-huh.
and yeah, it was all over the map. It wasn't even focused in a specific area. And when I was done, it didn't say, here's your feedback other than, oh, you did terrible. You took 6 questions, you only got 3 right. I was like, okay. Well, if I'd gone through 150 questions, I'd be ready to throw this computer right now. So I'm thinking this might be the best answer.
Yeah, I'm kind of thinking that too. The sprint seal thing, as prep things go, it's not that expensive. If you look on the market, it's actually not bad.
No,
But
considering there were some that were over $2,000.
or the sand stuff is like $6,000, $7,000.
Yeah.
No, it's way more, it's way deeper and it's more targeted. It's like
Yeah.
incident handling threat intelligence or something like that. It's very, very, very hands-on too. So you get what you pay for. But this certification is widely recognized.
Yeah, that's
So
kind of why I'm going after it is the number of jobs that I've seen that like CISSP. The biggest difference I think for me will be the question I had was, so I went and dug it up and there is no military version for getting your CPEs. Whereas with Sec Plus, there is a military version where you can go and take a bunch of online classes and get your continuing education credits to keep your certifications current.
yeah,
And
but
trading in one for the other doesn't necessarily sound like it's going to work out.
well, do you know this group? What are they called? ISA.
No.
Let's see if I can find it for you. Yeah, ISSA, Information Systems Security Association. It's like 150 bucks to join, and they have a Bright Talk channel also.
Yep.
ISC does too, though. So once you sign up with, once you take the test and pass it, then you can do through ISC Squared. You can get on their Bright Talk channel. You can watch webinars. It's dead easy. You just watch a webinar. Some of them are interesting, some of them are not. You can kind of pick and choose the ones that you're interested in or that pertain to what you're doing, like for your current assignment. And
Yep.
then it's just, so I watch, maybe 2, 3 webinars a week. Each one is one CPE credit. You only need 15. It's not that big a deal. I think you need 80 in a year, 15 a month. So it's not really that big a deal to get those. And if you go to a couple conferences, then you get multiples, and also you can get them through your work. Michael was saying, you can get like 6 through your work just by saying, I worked on this, and have somebody verify it,
Yep.
right? And I have to say, the webinars on Bright Talk are pretty good. Yeah, they're
Nice.
interesting.
Well, I just spent the $60, so we're going to see how this plays out.
All right, you let me know. I'm going to go and take the course on Sprintzeal. I'm going to take the full exam on Sprintzeal right now. I'll let you know.
Okay. Awesome.
All right, I'm going to drop off the webinar now.
All right, man. Later.
You take care. Bye-bye.
All right. You too.